Hello and welcome to my change and build guide for 2021. Now before we begin, I would like to give a massive shout out to Tap Titans 2 Compedin website. During this video, I will be explaining about builds, different build types, and also different tools like the Artifact Optimizer. I would strongly recommend checking out the Tap Titans 2 Compedin website, which has all these suggestive builds, guides, tools and tips. Is a fantastic tool. A big shout out to Dream, Taco, Roto, MMLH, Valina, Quim, Bob and Zen for all the contributions to the website. All the credit to them, and I will leave a link to this in the description below. Now in Tap Titans 2 there are 4 main builds. There's Clanship, Heavenly Strike, Pet and Shadow Clone. I'll give a breakdown of each build. So pet builds are mainly for pushing. They require you to be actively tapping all the time. This is a good build for beginners and endgame players. And then you have clanship builds. Clanship builds are semi-active builds. They require you to look at the game every minute or so to refresh the skills. Best overall build at the moment, and it can be played from early to late game. Then you've got Shadow Clone builds. Shadow Clones builds are Laserman's build for active players. You just need to keep the skill activated from time to time. It does require the most artifacts and specific mythic sets to be any decent at the pushing power and speed. It is mostly used by late game players due to needing decent mana regeneration and damage skills to skip through the bosses. Heavenly Strike builds are the fastest builds until there's too many titans per stage, and also you need a lot of mana regeneration to spam the Heavenly Strike skill. This is the most active build due to the constant skill smashing. Now the first build you can go through is the pet build. This is a good option for beginner players and late to end game finishers. Now the beginning players can use the build from around about 23 skill points onwards. This is like the clanship build. It's a semi-active build that you can use right until end cap. Now some late game players still use pet builds, but they need a very high pet level for it to be any good. Pet builds will require the player to be actively tapping because the pet attacks are activated after a certain number of taps are made. This build is meant to be a push build, but if you want it faster, you can remove the anchoring shot, lightning strike and poison edge. This is a semi-active build. You have to be actively using lightning burst and flash ship to progress. Just like clanship build, this is considered a beginner's build that grows in power the more patient and the more effort you pour into it. Now the main artifacts to use would be Drunken Hammer, the Retaliator, Strife's Piece, Hero's Blade, the Sword of Storms, Fury's Bow, Charm of the Ancients, Tiny Titan Tree, Helm of Hermes, Fruit of Eden, Orion's Charm, Heart of Storms, Apollo Orb, Oath's Burden and Bringer of Ragnarok. This is not in any specific order, and I will also recommend to always use an Artifact Optimizer when leveling those artifacts. Now the main equipment sets to get, and this is starting from the top as being the most important: Ancient Warrior, Immaculate Arbiter, Mechanized Sword, Noble Fencer, the Fallen Angel, Eternal Monk, Anniversary Platinum, Corrupted Emerald Knight, Forsaken Battle Mage, Black Knight, Titan Attacker, Angelic Guardian, Bone Mender, Thundering Deity, Hindered Viper, Ignis and Treasure Hunter. Now clanship builds are also available as soon as you get 23 skill points, but are used more often by endgame players with skill points over 700 and more. Beginners can start using this from 23 skill points onwards. This is just like the pet build. It's semi-active build you can use right into the end of the game. So some late game players still use clanship builds. Clanship build will require players to be actively tapping because Astral Awakening and Coordinated Defense skills needs to be activated to push on the stages. You can also add Anchoring Shot for more of a push or leave it off for a faster run. This build is also considered a beginner's build that is slightly more powerful than the pet build, but not as fast, and is also semi-active to play. Now the main artifacts to use would be Strife's Piece, Hero's Blade, the Sword of Storms, Fury's Bow, Charm of the Ancients, Tiny Titan Tree, Helm of Hermes, Influential Alexa, Orion's Charm, Crown of the Constellation, Spirit's Vigil, Sword of the Royals, Colbert Plate, Sigil of Judgment, Foliage of the Keeper, and Parchment of Foresight, again not in any particular order, and I also recommend to use an artifact optimizer to level them. Now for your main equipment, top being the most important to get: Ancient Warrior, Immaculate Arbiter, Mechanized Sword, Noble Fencer, the Fallen Angel, Eternal Monk, Anniversary Platinum, the Forsaken Battle Mage, Black Knight, Titan Attacker, Angelic Guardian, Bone Mender, Thundering Deity, Hidden Viper, Ironheart, and Treasure Hunter. Now the Heavenly Strike build requires a high level in Angelic Radiance, so most likely it's going to cost you half your skill points that's going to go into that skill. Now because of that, Heavenly Strike build requires a lot of skill points to work properly. Now the preferred amount of skill points required would be about 1,000 plus. This is a mid-game build. You need a lot of skill points so you can only obtain it later in the game. This is a very active build due to having to actively use the Heavenly Strike spell to push later in the stages. This also requires a lot of mana use, so higher mana regen in pets, skill points, artifacts and equipment is advised. Having higher levels in Arcane Bargain and Mystical Impact is also recommended to help increase the power and speed of your Heavenly Strike build. Now the main artifacts to get for this build will be Drunken Hammer, Samosek Sword, Strife's Piece, Hero's Blade, the Sword of Storms, Fury's Bow, Charm of the Ancients, Tiny Titan Tree, Helm of Hermes, Oath's Burden, Titana's Scepter, Titan's Mask, and Bringer of Ragnarok. Again, not in any specific order, and always use an artifact optimizer when leveling those artifacts. Now main equipment to use, top being the most important: Ancient Warrior, Immaculate Arbiter, the Fallen Angel, Noble Fencer, Mechanized Sword, Eternal Monk, Anniversary Platinum, Black Knight, Angelic Guardian, Chained Clockwork, Azure Knight, Defiant Spellslinger, Titan Attacker, Thundering Deity, Nimble Hunter, and Treasure Hunter. Now Shadow Clone builds require a good splash damage, even though a low skill point Shadow Clone build is possible, so 300 points, it's not really recommended. The preferred amount of skill points required would be over 1,000. This is a mid-game build. You need a lot of skill points to use, which you can only obtain later in the game. This is a very chill farm build, and you only need to activate your skill every few minutes to keep the run going. Not much else is needed. This does require a high skill point to be decent, and higher Eternal Darkness and Dimensional Shift levels, which will make the Shadow Clone run last longer. Having higher levels in Arcane Bargain and Mystical Impact is also recommended to help increase the power and speed of your Shadow Clone builds. The main artifacts to use would be Drunken Hammer, Samosek Sword, Strife's Piece, Hero's Blade, the Sword of Storms, Fury's Bow, Charm of the Ancients, Tiny Titan Tree, Helm of Hermes, Orion's Charm, Titana's Scepter, and Elixir of Eden. Again, not in any specific order, and use that artifact optimizer. Now for equipments, top being the most recommended: Ancient Warrior, Immaculate Arbiter, Ruthless Necromancer, Noble Fencer, Angelic Guardian, Eternal Monk, Black Knight, Forsaken Battle Mage, Titan Attacker, Anniversary Platinum, the Fallen Angel, Mechanized Sword, Hidden Viper, Thundering Deity, Nimble Hunter, and Treasure Hunter. In short, as a new player, you should be looking at either the pet or clanship build as your starting build, and then when you have gained enough experience and power, you can switch to either Shadow Clone or Heavenly Strike build. But I would strongly only recommend to do so when you have enough skill points, so approximately 1,000, good mana and equipment, or you may find the new build will be much weaker than the previous pet or clanship build you were using before. Also, in changing build, it should be advised on your playstyle, as the overall power difference between all four builds is very little. You do not gain much stages or advantages when changing build, so you should always choose based on how you play the game. I have broken this down as follows. So if you want to choose a clanship pet build, this is a semi-active for new players. It's easy to use and to build upon. You can keep adding to these builds to make them the best in the game. A lot of endgame players stick with these builds throughout the whole game, and you can use this as a push or farm build, so it's the best of both worlds. Or you can choose a Heavenly Strike build. This is a great pushing build for mid to late game players if you have the time. as it requires a lot of active playing. I would only recommend for people who have the time to play the game. If you're serious about the grind and have hours and hours to spare, this is the build for you. Shadow Clone build. Now this is a great farming chill build. It's good for badge events and general farming. If you have a very busy lifestyle and you can't play that much, this is the build for you. I hope this summary of the builds of when to use them and the benefits of using them has helped you today. If you have enjoyed this guide, and leave a like and subscribe, it helps the channel out loads. And leave a comment below, let me know which build do you currently use and are you thinking about changing. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks very much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, bye.